exact colour of a fingernail and then go and make it. And then you've got the other extreme, which is a bit more like me, where you don't really know what you want to make, so you just start making anything and see what happens, and just let accidents happen and sort of see where that steers you. And I think Dreams caters for that complete range. You don't have to go into a level knowing what you're going to make. You can just start just doodling and sketching, essentially.
I mean, that's what the video here is showing, is really just sort of the power of just sort of picking up these elements and just sort of sketching out a rough level, like really sort of slapdash, sort of sketching it out. It's really, really simple.
Like Kareem isn't here. Like he's the art director, and he has this thing that we want Dreams to feel really loose, really like a sketchbook. If you've got an idea and you want to get it out, I was saying to Tim before, you should use this in your production Double Fine. But absolutely, I meant it, because you don't have to be very kind of precise. You can be, and as Mark's saying, there are certain people whose creative process involves tuning every single last thing. But there aren't enough tools, I think, that just celebrate just doodling, like mucking around. Like, you don't have to have a plan. You can just enjoy it. And one thing that we learned, back from making other games, we're game makers as well. It's a game. It's a PlayStation experience. You can relax. You don't have to publish this for anyone. This doesn't need to be for somebody else. You can just enjoy the process of making.
That's the thing. I think it's like there's all different types of play, and creating stuff is a type of play. Like Lego is a type of play.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've loved about using the tools is like, because you can move between making music and doing a bit of logic and sketching out a level, there's almost a never-ending list of like, oh, I just want to do this.
Just one more go,
there's
basically.
one more thing over here. And sometimes if you get stuck, you're like, oh, I don't really know how to do that. I find it's amazing that I can just go, all right, it's okay, I'm just going to play with the lighting for 5 minutes. And whilst I'm playing with the lighting, a light bulb will go off, and I'll be like, that's how I do that thing over there. And the fact that the tools are all there and you're moving between these different things, it's like tickling your brain, and it's just a really really fun way of spending like an entire set of hours.
And another big factor in the sort of creative process, I think, is collaborating with other people, obviously, and bouncing ideas off people, criticising each other, getting annoyed, that kind of thing. But that's really catered for a lot in this as well. You can really collaborate.
Right, so in Little Big Planet, if you guys have played Little Big Planet, one person, one level. So in Dreams, you don't have to make levels. You could just be the person who makes music, or you could make like bow ties, or you could make fingernails, whatever it is you want to make.
Eyeball person.
You're the
I
eyeball
could model
person.
an eyeball.
There you go. And then on a single dream, you can also have collaborators. So I could say, like, okay, I'm going to let Tim, Mark, and Siobhan into my level, and everyone else gets to play it, but you guys actually get to edit it and work together and like jam together, basically. So it's all about collaboration as well. So we do that internally to build our story. So the story that you play is exactly that. You have everyone in the studios marked as a collaborator on all of our levels. But you could have teams. You could have like clans or teams or whatever you have out there in the gaming communities, and you could be working together on your magnum opus together. So
that's fun.
And we actually, when you are using Dreams, we have like experience points that you amass, and we track the kinds of things that you do. So you kind of can accrue these personas. You might be known as an artist or an animator based on the things that you've been doing. So if you do
or a player.
Or a player, obviously.
Curator.
And the point is, if you feel like you want to collaborate on some new idea, you can actually search for the people that have experienced in making music or animating or things like that.
So if you're making a super hard game, you would then search for like the best players in the community and invite them to come and play test your level. So this idea of a persona is super cool, because you can be like, or you can reach out to the best curators of a particular genre, and you're like, okay, Tim, can you pimp my level? Put it in your map of like best point-and-click adventures, whatever it is you want to.
I mean, it sounds crazy. It sounds like you could actually end up with people starting game companies out of the Dreams community, like bringing people with those different.
Well, with Little Big Planet, I mean, a lot of our team are actually ex-LBP community members, and so
really?
Debug and Francis are both characters made by Steve Big Guns, who was an LBP community member, and he's now part of the team making like super cool characters.
Watch, like 5 years from now, we'll be at PSX, and someone will be up here and they're like, how'd your company get started? It's like, well, we were playing Dreams.
That's something that's quite central to, certainly for me anyway, that's really close to my heart, is enabling that kind of thing for people that maybe don't know the right people or whatever, how to get into this this wonderful world that we're all lucky to be working in.
Or they might not know they like it, or they might not know they're good at it, and then they just try this when they're playing the game.
Right.
So that was such a good point about the boundaries between playing and creating that seem like they're there, because often a game you have to switch from play this level to make this level,
Right.
and you get used to thinking there's a difference between creating and playing. But then when you have a child, it's so much more natural with kids to just be like, yeah, playtime is creative time.
Right, right.
And it's just a flow that goes back and forth. And when you're even playing like a make-believe, you're creating stories. And
Right. We have this like saying internally, which is that the animation, which you're actually seeing a little bit of behind us right now, we capture performances. So the idea is that you don't have to do keyframes and complicated curves. I mean, actually, you can do that if you're really deep. But the way into animation is that you just hit record and then just move stuff. So right now, let's just talk through what's going on the screen behind us. He's placing down, or she's placing down, some action recorders and just moving this stuff.
so that little golden glow is like a track of them moving,
The movement.
puppeting the
Right,
Yeah,
exactly
that's
that.
just showing you the path that you've literally just moved.
Right. And so another thing is that a lot of these mechanics you learn by playing the game. Like you were saying, Tim, it's like play and create are actually really merged together. So another fun thing you can do is you can actually have that record button down while you possess a character. So you can actually record like little movies or little stories with your voice, with a microphone, with a headset, and you can just perform using the DualShock the same way you would in a game, but it's recording you. So you can do little stories. It's like Henson. We call it like Henson, not Pixar. It's like when kids pick up the sock puppet and they're like,
Yeah.
"Wah, wah, 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 wah," and then "Wah, wah, wah, wah." That's really cool. Like
Yeah.
in 30 seconds, you've made a story and makes
You can
it
play like your own cutscene, one actor at a time, and
Exactly.
record them
Yeah.
all.
and go back, rewind, and then play the next character and play the next character and play the next character and
that's
build it
super
up. Yeah.
I saw that a little bit in the single-player trailer. You could see. I was like, how are they moving that character? Because it had a kind of a puppeted look. Some of them had a puppeted look that looked like they're.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
That's-
that key word, performance, that was one of our sort of basic philosophy behind the Create tools. Wherever possible, we want to better capture a performance so that people can actually get that kind of human expression into things.
The gyros are great for that as well. It's like the cheapest, most effective motion capture in the world. And Steve Big Guns, who's the community member that we mentioned that we hired, he's a super expert at building like new powers. So if you look at Frances, she has this like hammer move and like these special moves where she does like spin jumps and stuff. And if you place her in your level, you get all of those powers, but there's nothing about her which is hard-coded into the engine. Like Steve built her out of around, I think it's 4,000 or 5,000 individual logic gadget elements inside the game. So there's nothing about Francis which is preordained. Like you guys and girls can do different characters, different powers. It's very hard to explain until people get their hands on it. They're like, wow, and you can open Francis up and find out how he did that animation of that spin jump and how he connected it to the particular button press, double jumps. You can change the timings. So there's this like deep side to it. And then there's this playful side of just like, I want a character that is 500 foot tall and that just can stomp through my level. You can
But the
do
cool
that.
thing is you can start at either end of that, and I like that. Like sometimes with dreams, you'll pick it up and be doing the thing of like playing with a kid and like, oh, what should we do? And then the serendipity of that is like, oh, actually, that's a really cool. I've made a great scene. I now want to turn that into a story that I'm going to publish. Like I remember in the early days, the discussion would be like trying to find like happy accidents.
Right.
And that like in music jamming, it's much more normal to make mistakes and those mistakes to end up becoming what the whole thing is about.
Yeah,
And in game jams, that's not always, because everyone's always in different places and using different machines. You don't have that same, different programs. And with dreams, that what I love is like the idea of jamming together has a whole, it's a different thing because you're all in the same tool.
You can see each other's
You
mistakes.
can see
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and they
riff on
build
them.
off them.
And
because
laugh at
actually
each other.
a lot of them are really funny, and it's like, you know, it's great to laugh, and it's great to laugh in games, and I love that so much within dreams. The
It's
stuff that
silly.
people are making at home is just really funny, and it's a cool.
I mean, the juxtapositions as well. Like, there was one person, I remember this is a couple of years ago now, and he was making a little pastoral scene, and he needed a path. Like, he needed a nice little gravel path, winding path. He just got a massive pink flying V electric guitar and scaled it up and turned the fretboard into the, like, path. And those, like, stupid sort of mashups, if you like, are what is the lifeblood of it. And you don't see that in other tools. So, for example, in Little Big Planet, even, everyone gets the same gnome, everyone gets the same matchbox, everyone gets the same spoon. It's one of my favorite assets in LVP. But, like, those were made by us for you, which is cool, but it's a limited Lego set. Like, LVP is this awesome Lego set, but the pieces were, like, pre-fabricated by Media Molecule. in Dreams, the set of Lego pieces is completely unending because you can go in and sculpt something from scratch and then publish it and be like, okay, I have just created a completely new octopus. You know, I'm into Blue Planet right now. I love that show. And I have a feeling that if this game was out right now, there'd be cuttlefishes and coral and all sorts of crazy stuff. Because everyone who was watching that show would get inspired, and then you could benefit from that. Or like if your, you know, Gang Beasts comes out on PS4.
Gang Beasts coming on PS4.
You see, £10. Thank you very much. So people will get inspired by what they're seeing around them in the culture. Like, not to get too like highbrow about it, but like if they see something that inspires them in the broader like universe, they can like channel that into Dreams and then do this like dreamy, fluffy reinterpretation of like, yeah, I just want cuttlefish everywhere in my dream. That's basically my goal. Like, make octopuses for me, please.
I made an octopus.
Did you?
I saw it.
For my octopus.
I haven't.
I'm so proud of my octopus.
There we go.
I don't know if you would really like it, but
Do you, when you put the game in front of people, did you ever see, like, some people like me, I get very intimidated by like the blank piece of paper when I'm writing, and I just don't, like, if you could draw anything, what do you draw? It's so like, did you see people having that trouble, and how did you get around that?
So we have some tutorials, and the way the tutorials work is they're essentially these kind of half-finished dreams that you can go in and finish, and that's a really nice way to start creating as well. When you go into create mode, you can start with a blank canvas, but you can just browse and remix other people's things. So like a starting template, if you like. So that's a really nice way to kind of get.
I've got actually a funny story. So we've been doing, you mentioned testing, so we've been user testing, as we call it, i.e. getting people off the street to come and play Dreams. And they play these ready-to-be-finished Dreams. And the first one is an aquarium. You get this like pre-made aquarium, and the only thing you have to do is put some fish in it. That's the only, that's your goal, right? It's really funny. You play it. It's not like a tutorial with a kind of whip. You know, it's like actually quite fun. Like, just make some fish.
make something beautiful.
So here's the thing. We ran 2 user tests, and the first set was people who played Little Big Planet, they played Minecraft, they were into building games. They played our genre before. Those guys, they all finished it, and it was cool, and we were very excited. And then we did another test that was people who didn't have any interest in playing. They didn't identify as builder people. They were just gamers. They were like, I don't care about creativity, I'm not interested, but I'm going to make this aquarium because I'm here. And they did a way better job than, I have no science to understand why this is, but like, I'm really interested by people who don't think of themselves as creators, what they do, the aquariums they make. And
what did they make? Now I want to know.
Well, there's one guy.
They were just wild. Like, they went.
My favorite was the over the shoulder. It's kind of like I don't know, like a
first
third
person.
Yeah, it was third person. It was like over the shoulder fish cam, and he had like the camera following the fish around the aquarium, and everyone else just did this like simple thing that they were told to do. But that guy just went really deep, and it was sort of like, I don't know, like Gears of War almost. There's like embedded camera, kind of, it's a fish.
There's another thing that we do as well. We have these weekly community challenges. So every week we'll just throw out a kind of theme and say, make something that's inspired by Tim Schafer's shoes, for example.
Oh gosh.
Don't look.
And just having that as a keyword, you can just go off and not be precious and just make your thing, submit it, and then the community can vote on who's the best thing this week. We've been doing that internally at the moment, just with the team, and everyone gets involved, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, then that deals with the blank canvas really, really well, because you don't have one. You've got like a theme to sort of work within, and I think it's been really interesting within the studio seeing people who are not making content every day. It's been a real icebreaker for them of just like, let me have something to start with. Did you want to talk a bit about?
Well, I was going to say, in the background here, we've actually got the video playing, which is showing some of the like layers of the audio. So basically, if you want to, you can just search for music, and there'll be musicians in the community who make great tunes, great pieces of music, and you can just place them in your level. But then the next layer down is we get this whole like timeline system. So if you've ever used a package like GarageBand or Pro Tools or anything like that, that's what you get in Dreams, right there in the game. So here they are collaging pieces of pre-made instruments together. And the next sort of rung down the rabbit hole, if that's not enough for you, is that you can actually go in and perform. And again, Mark was talking about performance. We have these instruments, virtual instruments, which you can also make. So yeah, we can make the kalimba, we can make the rubber band, kind of, I don't know what instruments we make. We'll have a library of a few hundred that you guys get. Theremin, definitely theremins.
Controller theremin.
Yeah, are you good at theremin?
I'm one of the top-ranked theremin players in the country.
In the
It's not
world,
well known. Yeah.
New York Phil.
Learn something new about you all the time, too.
There we go. Spoons. I
Yeah.
can play the
I
spoons.
try and keep it.
Great.
So yeah, so you get to go and do that. You can build instruments. We already have a library of instruments that we've made. We also have a second screen. So if you have a phone or an iPad or a laptop, you can import audio into that laptop. You can take samples, high-quality samples. You can use a podcasting mic. So if you're a podcaster, you have a good quality mic, you can just record yourself. Whether you're into VO,
Just talking to your phone and
you're
just
talking to
send
the
it.
phone and you push a button and it sends it to the PS4. Or if you have a headset, you can do that directly on the PS4. If you have a camera, PSI camera, you can do that. So we have all these ways in. And as I say, like it's really hard to kind of convince people that we're not lying, that all of our story mode is made in the game. And that extends to the designers, the animators, the musicians. So, you know, when they are making the Foley...
All the music is made.
All the music is made in the game. So the Foley of, like, you know, when I was talking about Ed having to make crunch sounds, he really had to make crunch sounds. He put them in the game, and then every sound you can then manipulate. We have reeling off, I can't even remember what they are, but there's like 5-band EQ, compression, distortion, wave shaping, modular synth, LFOs, envelopes, say these words, go Google them. And you don't need to do any of that. That's the beauty of it. You can ignore all of that stuff and just go, oh, it sounds nice. Or you can be the person who wants to learn about music production, and then it's like, I'm going to go and, you know, change the Q on this EQ band, and you can actually do that.
Or I think one of the stories that I like about that would be, you don't know what you like, you start messing around, you go through the layers of the
You get
skin
lost.
a bit, you get lost, your sort of curator points come up and say to you, you're an audio artist.
Yeah.
And like you get this sort of recognition of
Endorphin
like,
rush. You're like,
right, yeah, no, that's what I've been doing. I've loved doing that. And
So your name, like you get credit for your thing if it's shared somewhere else, and can people then just pass that from level to level, and it can get pulled out of someone's level and
we sort of track the genealogy. So if somebody makes a level by collaging other people's objects, for example, your name, if you made a particular object, your name stays attached to that, even if it gets remixed 1,000 times.
right, so we track credit.
Trace back the kind of
Oh, yeah,
history
you can,
of it.
in some mode, see that person and just go to their...
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you might make a balloon. Like, you're just messing around with your kid, and you're like, I'm going to make a party balloon. Like, take me 2 seconds to sculpt it. And then it gets used in some massive level by some super famous creator. And you get that kind of, some of the kudos of that famous level comes to you because you made that balloon, and that's part of, you know, you're part of the success of that level. So we really want to promote a community that work together, jam together, remix together, and which is part of games culture now. Like, the whole idea of global game jams, the whole idea of people working together is what Dreams is about. And Twitch streamers as well. Like, it's fun to watch. I don't know if you guys have been watching the Create in the background, but it's kind of relaxing. It's like Bob Ross kind of thing. You can just enjoy
A lot of happy accidents.
There we go. It is
Happy
all about that.
accident.
Happy little trees. And yeah,
Happy little space doors. Cyber doors. But has anyone ever made anything in Dreams that you didn't realize they could make?
Yeah, and one of my favorites is the
QA.
oh man,
The
QA. We have a amazing QA team, and they do bizarre stuff. So one guy was testing the audio. You can tell I'm obsessed by audio. He said he'd made a synth, and I was like, "There's already a synth in the game. What are you talking about?" He actually modelled out of wood a beautiful old 70s synthesizer with knobs and dials. And I was like, that's very nice, pretty sculpting you've done there. And then I realized it actually worked. And with the imp, you could like push the keys, or you could roll a rock over the keys of these 70s thing. And it was a really good like Moog synthesizer with all of the like knobs worked. So you could like resonance stuff. And I was like, his interpretation of music wasn't as geeky as mine. His was like, I want a physical thing that I can play. And then he made a saxophone. It looked like a saxophone, and you could play it. And I was like, this is bizarre. And then one of our web designers recently did this really hard as nails space docking thing. I don't know whether it's like, I can't describe it, Kerbal Space Program meets Tarkovsky crazy Russian. Anyway, you have to dock a little space module into a spaceship. And this guy's a web developer. He's like never done graphics or art or game design officially anyway. And he did the sound design. It's really terrifying. And then the sun rises over the planet. And you're just like, I had no idea that you could do a space game that was this beautiful.
Did she just kill the eyeball?
She took the eyeball out, Ed.
That wasn't the eyeball, was it? I couldn't really
that
care
was
about
a
that
meanie.
eyeball
They're the
already.
meanies.
I think one of the key point is, if you really want to delve deep into it, it's a massively powerful, flexible content creation tool that can compete with lots of other content creation tools out there. But the way into it is
Playing.
very simple.
This is what I'm going to do when the game comes out, and I'm really hoping that you guys will have a similar experience. You boot Dreams up, and then you just play Dream Surf, Auto Surf across the mad stuff that will have got made. And it will be like sort of infinite David Lynch sort of, I hope, sort of surreal experience after surreal experience. And you don't know what you're going to get. There'll be some great games in there, and there'll be some crazy stuff. There'll be some like take it or leave it, but it doesn't matter because Dreams is all about that mashup, that craziness.
I'm getting that impression. Yeah. Infinite David Lynch would have been a good.
There we go.
For that. Probably some
Tagline.
problems with that, but well, we're getting to near the end. You can ask some final questions. I would like to know what kind of impact would you hope Dreams has on individuals,